how is it going? Like, what is what is your base of work right now? Like, how are you working with your clients? What is the job that you're doing with this?
Yeah, so there are four different ways in which I work with clients, and then I do other things on the side, like webinars and facilitate different workshops. But there's one-on-one coaching, which a lot of people will come to me, for example, let's say the example that you just gave, right? I'm from one country, my partner's from another, and we live in a third culture. We don't parent the same way. We don't understand how the other person parents. And our local culture is telling us, by feedback from the locals, that we're not doing things in the way that they want to. Please help us. This is a very common one
Mm.
because I don't think people realize that two people from the same country parent in different ways. If you get two people from totally different cultures, in which many different cultures are embracing these things in totally different ways, um, it can be very challenging not only for the parents but also for the children. When you can imagine that one parent is saying, like, you can do it, go get messy, go jump in the puddles, go climb up the whatever it may be at the playground, and the other one's like, no, don't do it, don't get your hands dirty, don't go near this puddle, don't try,
Mm.
I'm going to do it for you. So it's complex and it's layered and it's multifaceted, and at the same time it can be so beautiful if you learn how to embrace it, how to hold it. And I'm sure that there's a lot of thoughts in all of what I just shared, so I'll leave a moment there because there's quite a bit of content in what I just said about that. Any questions on the what I just example I gave or
Sure.
comments?
Thousands. Like, the thing is that I don't know that the most common struggles with expat parenting, it's suppose it's a shock of cultures, but there is also like hidden ones. No, there is things that probably the parents that come to you are not willing to talk about it also. So probably
Mm-hmm.
the conflicts about, oh, I do things like that, or I do things like that because my culture brings me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you also like pull this information that may be relevant and that they don't want to share? No, they probably
Mm-hmm.
because you grow up like that, so maybe you don't want to accept that your way it's the not the best way of doing it either, you know.
That's such a beautiful question, and that's something I also address in two different programs. The one-on-one coaching, because when couples come, you need to dig deep and you need to understand certain things, but also in the program that we have called the Empowered Expat Parent, we need to start with couples and understand, and if it's best done if you do it before you have children than after, but it's also possible after. It just gets a little bit more complex, but to understand how you were parented as a child and how you want to parent your kids. So, 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 so important to understand your partner and the whys behind what they do as a parent. And I don't think we realize this, but one of the struggles that I had when I first had my daughter was I felt uncomfortable because all the ways in which I was parented were downloaded into me. Like I almost kind of felt like I didn't have a choice, even though I knew I didn't want to do things in that way.
Mm.
Where a lot of people don't realize that's maybe not the exact situation happens, but there is no guidebook to parenting. We learn how to be a parent by observing how we were raised, how our parents parented. And if we are lucky to have other couples around us in which we saw them parent their kids, other ways too. But not many people are that lucky to be able to see something on a daily basis in such close way. Um, so it's necessary to do that and to dig deep to understand those different things. And another thing that I do with couples and also individuals, it's really, really, really important to establish what your values are, but also your boundaries and your fears. And I tell my clients, and I speak about this on my Instagram channel all the time, when you share your values, boundaries, and fears, you may feel vulnerable. You may feel a bit exposed, but that's how you support each other in a partnership, is when you share these things and you learn how you can help each other, what your needs are, and in addition to that, real true intimacy comes from that vulnerability. And that's
Mm.
really where the beauty in relationships come. And if you want to talk about the complexity of being an expat partnership, you need to be vulnerable and you need to communicate. There's a reason why there are statistics that show 49% more couples, expats, are getting divorced versus people who stay in their home cities, countries, whatever. And it's because there is such a layer of complexity and stress that's put on the couple and the partnership. If you're not communicating and if you're not vulnerable, it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect in this in all the way, but you need to be able to open up to your partner and tell them, I'm really struggling with isolation right now. Let's go do something that allows us to connect or to meet other people. Or I'm scared that once we have our child, I'm really going to be struggling and I'm going to be unable to do anything, whatever it may be. You need to be able to communicate with your partner. The expat life just adds that extra layer of complexity there. So it's really, really important.
Makes sense. I mean, it's just a layer on top of something that you already said, which is also relevant. Like even inside a single country and single culture,
Yeah.
your background might be absolutely different, and therefore you were raised 100%. Everyone has been raised in a different way. It's not that you raise every kid is raised in the same way, so it's kind of literally impossible. So how your family raised you, how the environment that you grow up affects on the decisions
Yeah.
that you take. And on top of that, I suppose the complexity comes when cultures, so when these partners are from cultures that are very separated in methodologies, no, I assume.
Mm.
What about the kids itself? Do you work with children also? Like, are they involved in the sessions at all? Not.
No, 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 no.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Uh, because something that I had, I mean, it's not related to the kids itself, but I'm assuming also parents talk about it. No, I heard these kind of things multiple times from this stigma myth about people saying, oh, expat kids are so resilient, or they are
Hmm.
like brilliant because they learn multiple languages at the same time.
Yeah.
I think you already busted the myth of like expat life being a flower and hippie flower and everything nice and beauty. um, I don't think like kids are kids, you know, like it's just
Yeah.
like it's
But
making them more resilient because of that. Is it something that you really see with the parents, or like, I don't know?
yeah, I think you're onto something here. But I would take it one step further and say that the resilience in expat kids comes from the lifestyle of connecting with different places and the feeling of home and being able to mold and to really just kind of be with whatever is. But I would also take it one step further and say the resilience of children is as malleable and flexible, and the ability of it is only as strong as the communication between the parents.
Okay.
Because when you think about third culture kids, they need a firm foundation at home so they can continue to put themselves out there. So, another way to look at it is our children are our mirror. They can feel whatever's going on, whether you want to admit it as a parent or not.
Mm.
So, that the expat kid, the second culture or the third culture kids, that resilience can come from being held and that ability. Um, to be able to mold and to be malleable and to connect with that feeling of home as a sensation. Um, but if the foundation's not strong, that's where that resilience will start to crumble. They really need that firm foundation at home to be able to allow them to feel safe to go out and continually put themselves out there.
Nice. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense actually. Like it. Um, Maybe the last question before the we switch a little bit gears. I wanted to ask you also about the moment that you have a kid. No, you were saying like you were pregnant at the moment that you moved from Netherlands to Brussels.
Hmm.
Then you have a kid in Brussels. Do you, and probably your clients are either in the process of getting kids or they already have them. Do you feel that these people, maybe they were in this flexibility of life before, and then when they had the kid, that grounded them into the place where they were at that moment of time? And do you think that this also affected their way of reacting to the fact of having of becoming parents, like the fact that until now maybe they were traveling around or
Mm.
thinking a little bit more on the nomads, but also the expats who in the sense, I don't know, maybe they lived in 2 3 different countries and suddenly they have a responsibility that it's, I don't know, bringing the kid to school to have the, you know,